Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we are doing the book Contradictions tag. So the original creator of this tag was only for a page, and I will link her video down below that she did. I think that this is a brilliant tag. I'm really excited to tackle it. It's basically contradicting yourself. So I love this genre but didn't like this book, vice versa. I love this author but didn't like this book, vice versa. I think it's so much fun. And we actually did this tag for a Worldhoppers video that I will link down below if that's already up by this time. It was really fun to do with the Worldhoppers, so I'm gonna try not to repeat answers that I already answered for the tag over there. I'll try to come up with some new ones. So the first prompt is, I love this genre but I didn't like this book. And I'm gonna have to say Rage of Dragons by Evan Winter. This one sounded like something I would absolutely love. It's a non-Western setting where it takes place in this African-inspired fantasy world. It sounded like it was going to have dragons in it and a character who was bent on revenge and was going to get caught up in this bigger war. It just sounded so cool. Unfortunately, what didn't work for me about Rage of Dragons was the main character himself. Tao was one of the most obnoxious characters I've ever read. He was so blinded by his rage and revenge that he made the dumbest decisions over and over and over again. I'm like, okay, that could have been on purpose. It could have been, yes, he's mad, he wants revenge, blah, blah, blah. But at a certain point, I just got so fed up. He could not follow through on a plan, ever. And he would constantly put everyone at risk with these horrible decisions. I thought that the friendships in this book didn't feel real because Tao was so one-track minded that it never felt like he actually developed any friendships with the people. And the magic, oh, don't get me started on the magic. It doesn't make sense. It's like the power-ups don't make sense. And we've had this debate many a time on like Worldhopper videos and live shows and all these things, me and my friends, because half of us really can't stand Rage of Dragons, half of us love it. Some people think that the power-up is earned, some people don't. I'm in the don't camp. It's a whole thing. So if you love this book, I'm so happy for you. It did not work for me, and I'm really bummed about it. But a lot of people love it, so give it a try. The next prompt is, I rarely read this genre, but I loved this book. And for this one, I'm going to say I rarely read memoirs, and I've been wanting to read more because I've really been enjoying the ones I've read, but particularly this one is the one that made me really want to read more, and it's Somebody's Daughter by Ashley C. Ford. This one is basically following this author's childhood in the looming absence of her father, who is incarcerated. And it's just this beautiful coming-of-age story that I think was so beautifully written. And even when just these quiet moments were happening, I was so engaged the entire time. I just loved the way she told her story. And I listened to the audiobook, which I highly recommend because she reads it herself, and that even added more emotion and depth to the story. So I loved this. I thought it was amazing, and it definitely makes me want to read more memoirs. Okay, the next one is, I love this trope, but I didn't like this book. And for this one, I'm going to say Ruin of Kings by Jen Lyons, because I usually love unreliable narrators, but I really didn't like this book. So this one, I think, has a very specific audience, and it is not me. If you love puzzles and you love like dissecting these really complex timelines and storylines and character threads, and you like kind of mapping it all out and figuring out the puzzle pieces, this book is told in two separate perspectives, but each perspective is telling the same character's story at a different time, and the way it's told is so confusing to me, and there's footnotes that are correcting some of the character's story, and then there's characters who can shapeshift to look like other characters, and there's characters who can resurrect to become other characters or were in the past other characters, and then you've also got characters who can control other characters, so really they're doing this character's bidding. Basically, at the end of the day, you don't know which character's which, and for some people that is like so much fun, right, to figure out, like, oh my gosh, so much fun to puzzle out. I am not one of those readers. I do not like feeling like I have homework while reading a book. I do not like having to sit down and like write everything out in order to know what's going on, but so many people do. So a lot of people love this book and I do not. And the reason it's an unreliable narrator is because the main character that's telling his story is actually being corrected by the footnotes narrator and this other character who's telling this character's same story. It's a whole thing. So you know what? If that sounds good to you, more power to you. Some people love it. I'm looking at you, Angela and Bethany. They love this book. So if that sounds like fun, enjoy. Prompt 4 is I hate this trope, but I loved this book. For this one, I'm gonna go with I hate love triangles, usually, but I loved the Infernal Devices trilogy by Cassandra Clare. This was the best love triangle story I've ever read. I truly loved every second of this love triangle. I thought it was developed so well and just was so well done. And the ending of this trilogy is still, to this day, will bring tears to my eyes. It was so beautiful. And even though I don't think that the plot of this trilogy is necessarily my favorite, like it's not the best plot in the world, it's the characters and the relationships that make this trilogy so special. So I'm not even like a huge Shadowhunters fan, but when I look at this trilogy, I just think of the love triangle and it just makes my heart soar because it was so beautiful. The 5th prompt is I love this author, but I didn't like this book. So I know I said this already on the Worldhoppers version of this tag, but I have to mention it one more time. If you don't know what's coming, you may not have been on my channel for a long time. It's Titanic by Brandon Sanderson. I love Brandon Sanderson. I love, love, love. Stormlight, Mistborn, Warbreaker, all of it. I love it. Did not like Titanic. And I loved Skyward. I loved Skyward. I did not like Titanic. You get a lot of answers to questions that have been asked since the beginning book. You get a lot of those answers in this one, and the answers didn't make a whole lot of sense to me, and I didn't like them. I didn't like them. So I just had to mention that one real quick, but I do have another new answer for this since that one was already my answer for the Worldhoppers tag. It is my half-night stand, one-night stand, my something stand, something, I have the picture of it here, by Christina Lauren. I really love Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating and The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren, but this book was just the entire book was miscommunication. Every problem in this book, the entire plot revolved around miscommunication. And that's all I remember from it. I pretty much forgot like most of it as soon as I finished it because I didn't really enjoy it. The 2 main characters, I could not care less about their relationship, and if they had just had one honest conversation, that would have been it. I hate miscommunication. I can't stand it in my books. It's like, just have one conversation, and the entire book's over. And I guess you wouldn't have a book if they just had one conversation, but can we have any other problems besides them not communicating clearly? I couldn't stand it. I hate that. I hate it. All right, now I didn't like this author, but I loved this book. So this one was hard because I don't very often give authors a second chance, which sounds so bad. I probably should. But really the main one that comes to mind, and it's not that I hated the first book that I read by her, it just wasn't a favorite and wasn't a series I continued on with. It's actually Marie Lu, and the first book I read from her was Legend. And I think that that one's one of her most popular trilogies. And I just found Legend okay. I've read it a long, long time ago. And I just remember feeling very indifferent towards it. And I don't know what made me pick up this other series by her, but I loved it. And it's The Young Elites by Marie Lu. Loved this series. I don't love the third book, but if you consider this series a duology, it's one of my favorites. Loved the anti-hero aspect of this series and her Legend trilogy, so I highly recommend this one. All right, I love this cover, but I didn't like this book. I'm so sad about this one because it truly is the most beautiful cover, and it's Daughter of the Moon Goddess by Sue Lin Tan. Truly, look at this. Look at that. Is that not the most beautiful cover you've ever seen? Beautiful. I just did not like the story inside. I'm so sad. It was paced in a really, really strange way where I never felt like anything was fully fleshed out. And there's a love triangle in this one, which you guys know I don't typically like that trope. I just said it in this video. This book is an example of why I don't like that trope. I just didn't feel like it was convincing at all. I never felt like any of the relationships between this character and any of the other characters were fully fleshed out. And it just moved at a pace that was oh my gosh, it was like whiplash. And I've talked about this one already, and I'm actually going to do a full review of it on the channel, so I won't say anything more about it here, but it just wasn't for me, and I'm so sad about it. I know a lot of people love it, so definitely still check it out. I mean, it truly is the most beautiful cover. One of the most beautiful covers I've seen. All right, and the next one is, I don't like this cover, but I did like this book. Theft of Swords by Michael J. Sullivan. I don't like real people on covers, and like these are real people. And it's just not my favorite cover design. If you've seen the covers for Michael J. Sullivan's other series, The Legends of the First Empire, the new series that's coming out, Nolan and Fairlane, oh my gosh, those covers are absolutely my personal preference. I love those covers, absolutely gorgeous. Just don't love, I wish that these would get covers that are like those, that would like match those, especially since they're in the same universe and they don't match. Oh well, it's okay. I do love this story though. I love the world so much that Michael J. Sullivan's created, and the friendship between Hadrian and Royce is fantastic. I also love the humor and the situations these characters find themselves in. I think it's great. So this was a really fun fantasy story that I did end up loving. All right, and the last prompt is to tag someone. So I don't know who has already done this tag, but I will tag a couple folks that maybe haven't done it before, and I would love to see their answers. So I will tag Jashana, I will tag Alex Nieves, and I will tag Jess Owens. So you all are tagged. And if you haven't done this tag and you're watching it and want to do this tag, please feel free to consider yourself tagged and let me know if you do it. I would love to see your answers as well. And comment your own answers down below. I think that these prompts are really fun, so I can't wait to see what you all have to say. So thank you all so much for watching this video, and if you enjoyed it, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you'd like to, and I will see you all in my next one. Bye.